Hello Jambites and welcome back to our channel. If you're preparing for biology in the UTME, this set is designed just for you. Each question doesn't just test what you know, it teaches you how to think like a real science student. We'll go through 10 carefully chosen questions, then explain every answer in details using simple terms so you can understand and remember it easily. Now stay with me to the end of this video because I'll be dropping 3 tips on how to score above 300 in your forthcoming JAMB examination. Now let's get started. Your 90 plus in biology begins here. Question 1 says, which of the following processes requires a membrane protein to move the substance across a typical animal cell membrane? Which of the following processes requires a membrane protein to move the substance across a typical animal cell membrane? Option A, diffusion of oxygen into the cell. B, osmosis of water through aquaporins. C, simple diffusion of steroid hormones across the membrane. And D, movement of carbon dioxide by simple diffusion out of the cell. The correct option here is option B, osmosis of water through aquaporins. Osmosis means the movement of water through a semi-permeable membrane from where there is more water to where there is less. In many cells, water passes through special proteins called aquaporins, which form small pores that allow water to move quickly in and out. The other options listed, which is oxygen, carbon dioxide, and steroid hormones, are small or non-polar, so they can pass directly through the cell membrane without help. Therefore, only osmosis truly needs a membrane protein for fast movement. The correct option remains option B. Now let's move to the next question. Question 2. It says an enzyme catalyzed reaction works best within a narrow pH range because dash. A, the enzyme's amino acid sequence changes completely at different pH. B, substrate concentration becomes too low outside the pH range. C, the shape of the enzyme's active site changes at different pH values. And D, all enzymes work best at pH 7. The correct option there is option C. The shape of the enzyme's active site changes at different pH values. Now, what are enzymes? Enzymes are proteins that speed up chemical reactions in living cells. Each enzyme has a special active site where the substrate, that is the reacting substance, fits perfectly like a key in a lock. If the pH becomes too high or too low, it can change the shape or charge of the active site. When this happens, the substrate no longer fits well, so the enzyme stops working effectively. Not all enzymes work based on pH 7. For example, pepsin in the stomach works best in acid that is around pH 2. That's why option C is correct. Question 3 says, the immediate product of the Kelvin cycle, that is the dark reaction, that can be used to make glucose is dash. A, ATP. B, NADPH. C, glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, which is G3P. And D, oxygen. The correct option there is option C, G3P. Photosynthesis has two main stages. The first is called the light reaction and the second is called the dark reaction. Now, in the light reaction, it produces ATP and NADPH. The dark reaction, which is the Kelvin cycle, which uses molecules to make food. In the Kelvin cycle, carbon dioxide is changed into 3-carbon sugar called glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, which is G3P. G3P is later combined to form glucose and other sugars that the plants need. So G3P is the first stable product that leads to glucose formation. Question 4 says, a man with blood group AB marries a woman with blood group O. What are the possible blood groups of their children? A man with blood group AB marries a woman with blood group O. What are the possible blood groups of their children? Option A and B only. Option B, A, B, AB and O. Option C, A, B, and AB only. Option D, blood group O only. Now let's explain. The man with blood group AB has two genes, one for A and one for B. The woman with blood group O has two O genes. When they have children, the father can give either A or B, and the mother can only give O. Therefore, the possible combinations are A from the father plus O from the mother to give group A, and B from the father plus O from the mother to give blood group B. No other combination are possible, so the children can only have blood group A or B, making option A the correct answer. Question 5 says, which blood vessels carries oxygenated blood from the lungs to the left atrium of the heart? Which blood vessel carries oxygenated blood from the lungs to the left atrium of the heart? A. Pulmonary artery. B. Pulmonary vein. C. Aorta. And D. Vena cava. The correct option is option B, pulmonary vein. Now let's explain. After blood receives oxygen from the lungs, it needs to return to the heart. This oxygen-rich blood travels through the pulmonary vein to the left atrium. It is important to remember that pulmonary veins are the only veins that carries oxygenated blood. Please note that. Now, let's explain other options. The pulmonary artery carries the oxygenated blood from the heart to the lungs. The aorta sends oxygenated blood from the heart to the rest of the body. And the vena cava carries deoxygenated blood from the body back to the heart. So the correct option, don't forget, remains option B, pulmonary veins. Question 6 says, which situation describes passive immunity? Which situation describes passive immunity? Option A, taking a vaccine that causes the body to produce its own antibodies. B, recovering from an infection and developing resistance. C, a baby receiving antibodies from the mother's breast milk. D, a person's immune system fighting an infection naturally. The correct option is option C, a baby receiving antibodies from the mother's breast milk. Now, passive immunity happens when a person receives ready-made antibodies from another source instead of producing them by themselves. For example, when a baby drinks breast milk, it gets antibodies from the mother that help protect it from diseases. However, this protection lasts only for a short time because the baby's body did not make the antibodies on its own. In contrast, vaccination and recovery from infections are forms of active immunity because the body itself produces antibodies. And remember the JAMB. Question 7 says, a population of insects living near a factory becomes darker over several generations because darker ones survive better in the cold. What is this process called? A. Genetic drift. B. Natural selection. C. Gene flow. And D. Mutation. The correct option there is option B. Natural selection. When the environment favors some individuals over others, it is called natural selection. Here, the darker insects survive better because their color helps them stay warm and alive in the cold area. They produce and pass the dark color to their offspring. Over time, more insects become dark because nature selects those with the useful traits. Other options are different. Genetic drift is a random change in traits. Gene flow happens when individuals move between populations, and mutation is a sudden change in a gene, not selection. Question 8 says, which event occurs only in flowering plants? Which event occurs only in flowering plants? Option A, alternation of generations. B, pollination by insects. C, double fertilization forming endosperm. And D, seed formation. The correct option is option C, double fertilization forming endosperm. In flowering plants, two fertilizations occur at once. The first, one sperm cell joins with the egg to form the baby plant, which is the zygote. The second, another sperm cell joins with two other nuclei in the ovary to form the endosperm, which provides food for the seed. This process is called double fertilization and it is found only in flowering plants. Other plants may form seed or show alternation of generation, but they do not perform double fertilization. Question 9 says, in a population growth model, when the population size is close to the carrying capacity, what happens to the growth rates? In a population growth model, when the population size is close to the carrying capacity, what happens to the growth rate? Option A, it becomes 0 because resources are limited. B, it increases because more individuals reproduce. C, it remains potential and unlimited. D, it becomes negative always. The correct option there is option A, it becomes 0 because resources are limited. The carrying capacity is the largest number of organisms an environment can support without running out of resources. When the population grows close to that limit, food, space, and other resources become scarce. As a result, birth slows down and death increases. So the growth rate drops. Eventually, the population stops growing. This is when growth rate becomes almost 0. So the correct option there is option A. It becomes 0 because resources are limited. The next question says, which of the following statements is true for meiosis but not for mitosis? Which of the following statements is true for meiosis but not for mitosis? Option A, produces two identical cells. Option B, involve one DNA replication followed by two cell divisions. Option C, maintains the same chromosome number. And option D, happens in body cells. The correct option there is option B, involves one DNA replication followed by two cell division. Meiosis is a special type of cell division that produces gametes, which is the sperm and eggs. It starts with one round of DNA copying, but then divides twice, forming 4 new cells. Each of these cells are half the number of chromosomes. They are called haploid. This is different from mitosis, which divides only once and produces 2 identical diploid cells used for growth and repair. That's why option B is the correct one. Wow, you've done great so far, but here's a little challenge question. This is a bonus question. It looks very complex, but it's actually very simple. Kindly leave your answer to this question in the comment section. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with friends who are also preparing for JAMB 2026. And that's it. 10 solid questions with 1 bonus question and 10 solid explanation. Remember, biology in UTME isn't just about memorizing facts. It's about understanding how things work in simple terms. Like I said earlier, I'm going to give you 3 tips on how to score above 90 plus in your biology exam. The first is keep revising every day. The second, practice questions topic by topic. And the third, most importantly, believe you can get that high score. Your success in biology starts with understanding, not just reading. So keep studying smart and you crush that UTME. See you in the next video.